I'm Alex from Board Game Co, and today I decided to do a video that is a little painful for my my wallet and my sense of regret. And these are the top 10 board games that I regret backing. And I want to get one thing out of the way, or several things out of the way before we begin. This has nothing to do with games that I got, played, didn't enjoy, and that's why I regret it. It also has nothing to do with games that I didn't get because they never delivered, and that's why I regret doing it, although I probably should do a full video on that too. I'll do a full video on all the games that I didn't back. Check out, subscribe to the channel to stay tuned for all of that. Additionally, it has nothing to do with whether I got my money back if it was a game that wasn't for me. Some of these, I often sell my board games that I back, whether I play them or not, I often sell them. And in this case, many of these games I was able to sell and get my money back. It still has nothing to do with that. This has everything to do with, should I have known better at the time? Should I have known better at the time and not backed it? And despite that, did I back those games? And so today, we have our top 10. I did rank these in order of least expensive to most expensive, because while cost was not a factor in the original decision as to whether to include these, once I regret backing them, I do regret backing them more if the more they cost. And I will say that we have $1,905 of games. It's more than that, but $1,905 worth of campaigns so far today in these 10 campaigns that I regret backing. It's more than that because that's just the pledge level. That doesn't count add-ons, taxes, shipping, any of that. I didn't go through the pledge manager to find all that. I just looked at the amount I paid on Kickstarter, and there's $1,905. With that, before we go ahead and dive into these 10 campaigns, a note from our channel sponsor. If you are regretting any of the things you are backing over here, you can go ahead and head over to Allplay. Allplay.com has a variety of things. You know what I've never regretted getting from Allplay? The board game bags. Their board game bags, their premium board game bags, in my opinion, are the best in the industry. They're the best board game bags out there. They hold incredibly well. They feel fairly sleek and stylish. They're reasonably priced. Definitely check them out at allplay.com. Link to everything down below. And with that, let's go get ahead and dive into the things that I do regret, starting off with Petrichor. Petrichor Collector's Edition. I've never played this game. I think I finally gave up on it. I'm pretty sure my last cull this past year, I finally gave up on playing it. Petrichor is a game from Mighty Boards. I believe designed by David Turczi, or maybe he did the solo mode, I don't remember offhand. But it's a game that, it's David Cherkoff. David Cherkoff's Petrichor. That's the David part. And it's a game that by all accounts is well enough regarded. And I backed it not because I was interested in the game, I backed it because there was a really good price on the game. That's why I backed it. They had an all-in for the entire game that felt like such a good price relative to anything else out there. And I was like, this is totally worth it. This will hold its value. I did get my money back, like 7 years later, not 7 years later, however long it was, and I finally purged it. But I held on to this unplayed for years because I didn't get it because I was interested in the game. I got it because it was a good price point on the game, and that is a terrible reason to get things. Well before I ever dived into the world of crowdfunding, I used to, when I first got into the tabletop hobby, I would buy things because this is a good deal. It's a $5 game, it's a $10 game. Cool Stuff Inc. has these as their, like, you know, junk that they're throwing onto the orders. And I'd get those because $5 for a game is a great deal. Do you know how often I didn't play the $5 game that I would get? The same thing happened with the Petrichor over here. More than $5, but it was a great price. If I'm not interested enough in the game, it doesn't matter how affordable it is, or how cheap it is, or how good of a price it is, I'm not going to pull it off the shelf relative to other games. Nothing against Petrichor, I just was never excited about it, and I only backed it because it was a good price. Number 9, Dinosaur World and Dinosaur Island Roar and Write. I don't know why I got this. I think because Dinosaur Island is so well regarded, I was like, this looks cooler than Dinosaur Island. I like the look of this. I never liked the neon pink of Dinosaur Island. I want to enjoy this game because Dinosaur Island is great, and Dinosaur World is bound to be, well, better. The next version of it, it looks more to my taste. That should be a good reason to back it. The problem is, I never liked Dinosaur Island. I didn't like the look of Dinosaur Island. I didn't like the gameplay of Dinosaur Island. And then so by the time Dinosaur World arrived, when people were hyped and buzzed, when people are no longer hyped and buzzed, then it turned out that Dinosaur Island seems to be the more well regarded from those versions, the original game that I didn't like. I just never got around to prioritizing Dinosaur World. I was like, oh, it's a very similar game to the original game that I played. I did play Dinosaur Island Roar and Write that came with this campaign. So I did play one of the things that came with this campaign, but Dinosaur World itself I never got to. Held on to it for years before realizing that my experience with Dinosaur Island made it so that I was interested in the premise of what this game was doing. Dinosaurs! I love dinosaurs! I've actually never really loved a dinosaur game like this. Like even the other one. What's the other one? There's Dinogenics. Dinogenics is a good game. I never fell heavily in love with Dinogenics, and none of them are games that are in my collection currently. I'm sure I have some dinosaur games in my collection, but dinosaur park management games, I don't have those. And I probably should have known better. Again, I backed this primarily because it looked cool, it looked premium, and it was a follow-up to a game system that I didn't love, which is not a great selling point to why you should get a game. Small City over here, I must have been, I don't know what I was on when I backed this one. I have no idea why I got this. It wasn't even a good price point. I mean, I said this in the original should you back or all that. It wasn't necessarily the best price point. It was fine. It's a completionist, but it wasn't a good or bad price, and it was a game that I had no real interest, but it had good ratings in BGG. So I don't know what possibly compelled me. Like, it has high ratings. That's the only reason for me to consider this relative to other games. I'm not saying it's a bad game. It looks like it probably would be fun, but again, when you're backing things, what you're ideally doing is you're allowing that central part of your brain that just really, really wants the thing to overwrite any logic as to, is it the best price? Should you get it? Do you have too many games that are unplayed? So when you have that, I really, really, really want the thing, that makes sense. Get the thing. I mean, I'm not saying don't get the thing, but that makes sense when you do get the thing. I didn't even really, really want the thing. I convinced myself into wanting the things. I convinced myself that it was probably a great game, and so I spent $100 on this one. Oh, prices, by the way. I forgot to do prices. Petrichor is $84. At least, again, these are the price I paid on Kickstarter. I don't know the after everything. $84 for Petrichor, $118 for Small City, $125 for Dinosaur World. That means I did those a little out of order. I realized I did those out of order because Dinosaur World should have been first over there. Should have been second. But 118 for Small City, 125 for Dinosaur World. So that's where we are so far in these. I don't know what possessed me. I never played it and eventually got rid of it years later. We have Tesseract. I spent $130 on this game, specifically because I got the Metal Cube version. And Tesseract is not a bad game, but what possessed me to get a $130 version with metal cubes of a game system that I had never played is actually probably my favorite game on this list that I've played, by the way. Tesseract is probably my favorite game from all the 10 games we're talking about today. The thing about this one is not even about the game itself. It's a good game. It didn't end up staying in my collection, but it is a good game. But I cannot believe for the life of me that I spent $130 on a bunch of metal cubes for a game system that I didn't know I love, for the type of deluxified upgrade. I just got so caught up in, this is a game I will like. And that's where the cranium part of my brain did push me into buying it, which I don't even mind that. But the part where I still cannot believe I got the metal die version for a game that I have no idea if it's for me or not. I usually don't do that. I usually spend the kind of bling on things that either historically other similar games have made sense, or metal dice bling I spend on games that I'm pretty sure are for me, or even games that will hold their value. This didn't fit any of those boxes. It was just, I am certain I will like this game, and I'm so certain that I want the best version of that game. That is not how I typically back things on crowdfunding. It's not how I've done things before or after. I bought this as if it was a game I would keep, and not with any other factor in mind, and that was a mistake. Coming up with our number 5 over here, or 6 over here, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 6. Our number 6 over here is the Cursed Throne. The Cursed Throne, I spent $130 on this one as well, and I don't know why. I've never kept any game from Lewisboro over here. His games, they always look delightful. They're well rated enough. I've never kept any of his games to date. They all seem to be like just close enough to the kind of games that I would like, but not actually making it to the cusp of games that I hold on to and keep. And I don't know what it was about this game that had me getting it. I don't know what it was. Again, the cutesy meeples. This is one of those things where I started my to back or not to back series partially designed to be like, hey, these are things that make sense to back, not to back. The amount of money I spent over the years on games that I would never have backed, but because I was spending so much time researching the games, they hooked me in a way that just casual knowledge of the game did not do so. But I was researching them, I was looking into them, I was reading reviews, I was checking out price points, I was doing all these things, and in many cases, that scared me away from things, which is a good thing, but in many cases it means things that weren't even on my radar became on my radar, and I decided I need or want those games, even when it didn't make sense to get them. And in the case of the Cursed Throne, a game that I never played, by the way, got it, held on for years, read the rules, never actually tabled this one, I eventually gave up. I eventually gave up on tabling it. The reviews weren't positive enough for me to power through after years of trying to get it tabled and not doing so. Sometimes I didn't even read the rulebook. Small City, I never read the rulebook, but the Cursed Throne, I tried to get played and then gave up eventually down the road. $130 on a game that was 100% not worth it to me, and I shouldn't have backed at the time. Coming at number 5, we have Blacklist Miniatures Fantasy Series 1 and Lasting Tales Fantasy Series 2. Both of these campaigns, I just have Fantasy Series 1 up over here. I spent $160 combined between the two campaigns. Again, before shipping, taxes, all of that. $160 on the combined campaigns. I got my money back on the first one. The second one never showed up, never delivered. The second one never got it all. But this is when Blacklist was going into decline and unfortunately not delivering, and I have no idea why I got these. At the time, I said the only reason I got them is because, like, it's such a good price, it'll hold its value, and sure, the first one did, because I sold it down the road, but the second one, but I didn't buy it. The thing that's weird is, I don't buy games to resell them. I will buy games with the mindfulness that, hey, if I don't keep it, I can resell them. That's certainly a thing I do. But there was never a world in which it made sense to have these. I have so many games with miniatures. If I don't like a game, I get rid of the game, with or without miniatures. I don't keep games because they have cool minis, I keep games because they have great gameplay, and then cool miniatures are excellent on top of that. And I said this at the time that it made no sense for me to get this, but the price point was so good that I went for it, and I regret backing both of these campaigns. It makes no sense to have done so. It was, again, a case of spending money with a half-hearted excuse as to why I should do so, and not any true logic behind the reason. And the Lasting Tales game, it's not like that made it a game. It's not the kind of game system I would have played to begin with, so it didn't really make any difference to me. These were definite mistakes for me. Coming in number 4, we have CMON Presents the Animation Collection. Most CMON games, whether I kept them or not, it made sense as to why I got them at the time. It made sense. CMON has put out a lot of games that I truly loved and still to this day enjoy. But in the case of the Animation Collection, at the time when I backed this, I had played Scooby-Doo the board game. And I liked Scooby-Doo the board game. It was a good game. But I liked it in the sense that it was fun. It was more fun than I thought it would be. It still was a lighter cooperative system that isn't the kind of thing that would be... I wouldn't prioritize it over Spirit Island, The Loop, Pandemic, any of these other cooperative games. So it was a good game, not a great game. And then Teen Titans Go and Looney Tunes, again, like, you know, cool miniatures and all that. The miniatures are great, you know, pre-productive, but, like, I don't even care about the IPs. I barely care about Looney Tunes. Like, I love Looney Tunes, like, growing up watching it, but as a miniatures board game, I couldn't care less at all. Teen Titans Go, couldn't care less at all. I backed this because it felt, and at first, I wasn't planning on backing this, by the way. I was actually not planning on backing this originally, and I fell for it because I was like, you know what, I back basically every CMON campaign. I can't skip one of them. It doesn't make sense that I'd skip one, so I will go ahead and I will back this, despite the fact that I probably shouldn't, and I went ahead and backed it, and I absolutely should not have. This was definitely a degree of completionist around, I back every CMON campaign, which eventually I got to a point that I didn't, but for a while, it was something that I did, and that's why I got this. The only redeeming quality I can give it is the fact that I probably justified it as it'll hold its value, and I probably justified it with Marvel United, which looked like a lighter game than I would typically be interested in, is a game system that I love. Just played it yesterday. Again, I keep playing Marvel United. It's one of those games that hits the table. Marvel United hits the table, and I get so many points for that alone. But this was a mistake. I had played one of them, no interest in the others, and I went for it because, hey, I back all CMON campaigns, and I have not played any of them since. I still never played Teen Titans or Looney Tunes. Scooby-Doo, I did play a few times before I got rid of it, but, you know, I don't know. Like, I played the prototype, and then I played the final game a few times, and then I moved on from it because I just didn't need to have it in my collection. Then there's Twisted Cryptids. Now, I debated at first putting, what was the other one? Not Here to Slay, Casting Shadows. I debated putting Casting Shadows on this one, but Casting Shadows probably doesn't deserve to be on this list because Casting Shadows, there was a reason I backed it. Even though I never played it, there was a reason I backed it at the time. Partially justified it for my kids. They love the little plushies. Because I have for Twisted Cryptids, I have $199 as the price I paid, but I paid more than that because I got playmats, I got the plushies, I got all this stuff. I paid closer to like $350, $400 for this. It makes no sense to do so, but Casting Shadows, I did the same thing, and I justified it as my kids will love it. If you watch the Casting Shadows unboxing that I did on the channel, you'll see how excited my kids are, how into it, but we never played the game. And then I heard too many negative things about the gameplay that I wasn't as interested in playing the game after down the road. But again, at the time, it made sense. My kids liked the Unstable Unicorns line of games, the art, and those plushies. It was an easier thing to justify back then. Getting Twisted Cryptids. After the experience I had with Casting Shadows, after knowing that I spent $400 on a game that I never really played and a bunch of plushies that made no sense, Twisted Cryptids was leaping down that same exact rabbit hole. Make no mistake, by the way. Ironically, I'm excited for Here to Slay Dungeons, but I didn't back Here to Slay Dungeons. I was like, that one I'll wait for retail. I'll try it out down the road. My kids love Here to Slay. We still have Here to Slay. It's part of why I got Casting Shadows. Twisted Cryptids, by the way, I've read the rules for it. I have not played for it. My excitement went out the window after reading the rules. It doesn't seem that interesting enough to me. I don't think I'm the target audience for it. I'm glad they have a target audience. I just don't think I'm that target audience. But I spent $199 on this, figuring that out. Then there's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures Cityfall from IDW Games back when they did games. I spent $250 on this one, getting the all-in, getting sucked into it. This is when I was first falling into the rabbit hole of crowdfunding, first falling into the everything with miniatures and a board game I need to back, which happened with Cthulhu Left May Die. Kind of started, like, it started with Cthulhu Left May Die and then just went down. I went crazy. I went around backing things. I was messaging creators, trying to get late pledges. I was just trying to do anything I could to get my hands on all these miniature games. And so I got this game for no good reason, I remember watching the Man vs. Meeple, like, round 1 playthrough, being super interested and excited for it, but, like, I got the game. The miniatures didn't look great for me. The gameplay was not great. I'm not interested in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't care about TMNT. I'm not into that world. And why would I get this? The sense of cooperation, like I was kind of hooked on that, like similar to Marvel United. With Marvel United, you're kind of sharing the last card. In this one, you're sharing abilities to people on your left and your right. So there is that sense of collaboration. That teamwork element did have me intrigued despite myself. So maybe this one shouldn't be this high because there was actual gameplay I looked into to establish whether I wanted it. But again, the IP, the price point, the previous game, like all these things, it wasn't enough. It was never enough. It was never enough, and I got it anyway. I remember being excited when it showed up. Again, I have an unboxing of this one of the first unboxings. I think it might have been the second or third unboxing I ever did on the channel. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventure Cityfall. I did it upstairs on my dining room table. I didn't even have a top-down camera. Like, if you want old school Alex, old school Board Game Co., this unboxing was definitely one of them. But I didn't keep the game. I wanted to like it more than I did. I remember playing it and then being so like disheartened and like looking online to see what people's experience was, and people were like, yeah, if you don't like the first, game, if you don't like the first mission, it's probably not for you. And I was like, I don't like the first mission. Do I keep playing it? Do I try to keep it? And I got rid of it down the road. My number one over here, by far the most money I spent, $549 on this alone, is Skinny Miniatures. Skinny Minis campaign, I spent $549 on this, and again, I don't know what was possessing me. The justification I gave myself, similar to the ones you've seen already with like, oh, I'll get it for my kids. I got this for my kids. I was like, my kids have boards, they like miniatures. I'll spend $549 and get like a bajillion Skinny Miniatures. I'll get like the entire line of everything, and my kids will have every single miniature to their heart's content. And to be fair, from all the games we've talked about today, Skinny Minis has seen the most enjoyment in my household. By no question there. My kids do play with the miniatures. They do pull out the boxes and try to play with them, but there's so many. I probably could have spent $100 on this and they would have been fine. Because I have so many games in general that have miniatures that this just becomes one more game when you want colored standees instead of when you want miniatures, which is the point and pitch of it. But I felt the need to get everything, and there are so many that I have that still have not even been punched out. I have multiple binders. Some of them are still in the plastic things. Every once in a while, my kids will punch out a few new ones and then throw them in the box. And then every once in a while, they get cracked and destroyed. That's the nice thing about these. Like, when they get destroyed, I'm not like, oh no, my board game. I'm like, okay, pay 25 cents for that. That's fine. You can break it. It's okay. I'm not saying you should break it, but like, that's the point. The point of this was to have a toy in the house. But I spent more on this toy than I ever would in an actual toy. That $549 would have been better spent on getting Lego buckets for the kids. Genuinely so. I justified, again, both things are true. The most money spent, the most money wasted, probably my biggest regret, but also the one that at the end of the day has seen the most usage and enjoyment from all the other games. Those are my top 10 biggest regrets in crowdfunding. The games that I shouldn't have gotten at the time, although like I said already, I will do a separate video on the campaigns I never got at all, because in its own way, that's also a regret. That's just like posts. I don't know about you. For me, things bother me a lot more when I should have known better at the time. Because life moves on, things happen, the world changes, you cannot predict what you cannot predict. And if you sit there regretting all the things that happen in life, you're never really learning that you can't control life. I believe regret should be saved for those things where you should have known better with the knowledge you had, and that's what this video is about. $1,905 of campaigns that I could have saved and could have put towards something else, and absolutely should have put towards something else. And now I'm going to go find the campaigns that I spent money on that never showed up, because I think that amount is more than $1,905, and honestly it's probably a little embarrassing, but one day at a time. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. Hope you enjoyed this video. In the comments down below, let me know what your biggest crowdfunding regret is. Again, using that qualification, the aspect of that you shouldn't have gotten it based on what you know at the time, and you think about it. It lives rent-free. Skinny Minis, to me, easily the one that I think about the most. Most of these others, I don't think about a lot, but they do show up time to time, although that's probably because Skinny Minis is still around, so whenever I see them, I think about it. Anyways, until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.